Chair will now recognize the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. Nunn, for 3 minutes.
I want to thank the chair, Mr. Arrington, for his incredible leadership on this, as well as Ranking Member Boyle for providing a forum for non-budgetary members like myself to share our policy priorities for this jurisdiction. Mr. Chairman, I also want to commend you for your committee on advancing a budget resolution for fiscal year 2024 that would reduce the national deficit by $16 trillion and balance our federal budget within 10 years. That alone is a step in the right direction. In my home state of Iowa, we operate with a common sense approach. Just like farmers, small businesses, families, we balance our budget and our checkbook at the end of every month, and so does my home state of Iowa every year when it comes to our budget. In fact, in the Iowa legislature, when I had the privilege to lead, we balance the budget each year when I served there. And it's something that I want to bring to DC, the Iowa model. The idea that we can balance the budget with a balanced budget amendment. The commitment that we will not spend more than we take in revenue. That we will not have unfunded mandates. And through the result of bipartisan leadership, both with our governor and our state legislature, we unleash the potential of every Iowan to be able to grow the economy, pay down our debt, and now serve as one of the best managed states in the country because of our fiscal priorities. My constituents sent me to Washington to bring common sense solutions to an institution that can't stop swiping the credit card and racking up our national debt. In Iowa, we have worked hard to live within our means, and I am dumbfounded by a federal government that refuses to take this priority seriously. While constituents must balance their checkbook to afford basic necessities, especially with an inflation rate at 19% increase since the pandemic, our federal government has failed to rein in federal spending. I believe it's time to restore a sensible, functional government that works for the American people, not one that is irresponsible in using the taxpayers' hard-earned dollar. That's why in my first week of Congress, my very first bill was to introduce the Balanced Budget Amendment. This resolution would have prohibited the total outlay for fiscal years from exceeding our total receipts, i.e. more money coming in than going out. This resolution would also require the President to submit to Congress a balanced budget annually, not one bloated with partisan wish lists. Let's just look at the facts from the administration's proposal this year alone, Mr. Chair. Over the 10-year period, the President's budget would increase spending by $73 trillion with a T dollars, or 23% of our overall GDP, the highest sustained level in American history. It would increase taxes by $58 trillion, or 19%, also the highest in American history. The deficit under this proposal would also increase by $16 trillion over 10 years, or said a different way for our citizens back home, a $50,000 increase per American citizen. Let's not forget, this is in addition to the $100,000 each individual American household currently owes in the national debt, which currently stands at over $33 trillion. So, Mr. Chair, as I conclude here, I want to highlight that Washington is sacrificing the livelihood of our children, our grandchildren, and national security of our great country to claim partisan victories for re-election. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle of this committee to support each of the individual constituents' futures in my district and yours by making Washington fiscally sane. DC must live within its means. It must recognize that economic success comes from unleashing the hard work of Americans, and we must also recognize that DC's primary responsibility is to protect Americans' national security, and this truly is the greatest national security threat we face. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Nunn. The chair will now recognize Mr. Mast.